Hello. Now, let us today discuss the chemistry behind hydrolysis of starch and assessing or determining the consecutive products which are formed during hydrolysis of starch. So, the main purpose or the main aim of this particular video lecture is to very first know how the starch gets hydrolyzed, and once the starch gets hydrolyzed, what are the various products which are formed subsequently, and how we can analyze or determine the progression of hydrolysis, and what are the various intermediate products which are formed during this particular process. So, for the purpose of assessment for the progression of starch hydrolysis, I here selected the colorimetric method, that is by change in color or by formation of color with the help of suitable chemical reagent, we can anyhow know the progression of hydrolysis, as well as we are able to know what are the various intermediate products which are formed during this particular path. So, the two reagents which I selected for the colorimetric identification of starch hydrolysis is the very first is the iodine, that is a standard iodine solution which is used for the iodine test, and the Benedict reagent which is used for the Benedict test or the Benedict reaction. So, these two tests are purposefully be used here for the colorimetric identification for the progression of starch hydrolysis and to determine the subsequent products which are formed during this particular process. So, you can see here I have represent the whole process of starch hydrolysis by this flow chart, and you can see that I subsequently also mentioned what are the various products which are formed during this particular process. I will discuss each and every one and the outcome for the colorimetric identification or assessment of all these products one by one, and anyhow get you people familiar with the overall reaction and its assessment. So, very first, before moving further, I will let you know that what ultimately the starch means. So, we peoples know what ultimately the starch is. Starch is nothing but a polysaccharide, and why we are saying that starch is a polysaccharide, or why we say the starch is a polymer, this is just because the starch contains number of monosaccharide molecules which are linked together in a specific pattern in order to yield a molecule of starch. Or this is only the reason why we say the starch is a polysaccharide, or why we say the starch is a polymer. This is because the starch is formed by the monomeric units of monosaccharides which are linked together to each other in order to yield the starch molecule, And these are the reason why we say the starch is a polysaccharide, or why we say the starch is a polymeric molecule. So in starch, the monomeric units are the monosaccharides, and once the starch is hydrolyzed, we are getting the large number of monosaccharides units, which are anyhow be arranged in a specific manner or bonded in a specific manner in order to give the starch. And this is only the reason why we say the starch is a polysaccharide. This ultimately indicates that when the starch is hydrolyzed, we are getting n number of or large number of monosaccharide units. And the monosaccharide unit, as you can see here, I represented the same here as the glucose, as the end product of this particular hydrolysis or the starch hydrolysis, and the glucose is itself a monosaccharide. So let us begin our discussion on how the starch gets hydrolyzed and what are ultimately the products or intermediate products which are formed during this particular process, and how we can anyhow be able to know that or able to assess or determine the products which are ultimately be formed here. So let us begin our journey. So very first, once the starch is hydrolyzed, so during the acid hydrolysis, we use hydrochloric acid for hydrolyzing the starch, and this hydrochloric acid will ultimately initiate the hydrolysis reaction in the starch and ultimately break down starch into the subsequent molecules. So once the starch is tested, that is before initiating our reaction, when the starch is tested for the iodine solution, or when the starch is exposed for the standard iodine solution, we get a blue color, and this blue color itself indicate that starch is present, and this confirms that our sample or our the constituent whatever we have taken it is the starch. And also when the same content is reacted with the Benedict solution, so we also get a blue color, but here the blue color doesn't mean the blue color here I represented for the Benedict solution. So you can see that the Benedict solution, if you have seen, the original Benedict solution is itself of the blue color. So once starch, although when the standard solution of starch gets reacted with the iodine, we get a blue color, no doubt. However, when we are using the Benedict solution for identification of the starch, there is no change in the color in the Benedict solution, and the Benedict solution itself present in the blue color or itself present in its original color. And we can say that here the starch is in unreduced form. There is no reaction as has been initiated as the reaction is, as the product is generally in its original initial form. So once the acid is added, that is the hydrochloric acid is added, the hydrolysis gets begin, and the very first product which we have formed or which we get here is the amylodextrin. So once we are getting the amylodextrin, we can check the formation of amylodextrin again with the help of iodine and the Benedict solution, which we can see here. I have mentioned the iodine and Benedict as I have earlier discussed. I have discussed these two reagents which ultimately be used for the colorimetric assessment of iodine, and here I represented the iodine as capital I and the Benedict reagent as the capital B. So here once the amylodextrin is formed, the iodine color gets changed from blue to the violet, or once this particular product is exposed for the reaction, we are getting a violet color. So formation of violet color will indicate the formation of amylodextrin, as well as when this amylodextrin is exposed to the Benedict solution, we are getting a green color. So formation of these two color, that is the violet color in presence of iodine and green color with the Benedict solution, will confirms that we have converted or the hydrolysis has begun, and we are getting our very first product or very first intermediate product. We can say here it is an intermediate product, not the product of the final reaction, as it is formed in between the final product. So amylodextrin is the initial product or the intermediate product which ultimately form is get confirmed by the iodine and the Benedict solution with the subsequent violet and the green colors, and this confirms that we are getting with the amylodextrin. And this particular formation of amylodextrin will also states or will also suggest that the reduction has been started. So we can confirm the amylodextrin with the help of iodine and the Benedict reagent, which as I discussed, and this ultimately confirms us that the reduction process has been initiated. So once the reduction process or once the hydrolysis gets begin further, once the reaction moves progress further, the next intermediate product, that is the second intermediate product what we have got, it's the erythrodextrin. So erythrodextrin is the second intermediate product after the amylodextrin, and this product can be confirmed again with the help of iodine and the Benedict reagent by reacting this particular product. That is, when the erythrodextrin reacts with iodine, we are getting a reddish violet color. So this reddish violet color will let us confirms that our reaction is in the progress, and and formation of erythrodextrin can be confirmed by reacting this iodine with the erythrodextrin, so that we can get a reddish violet color. And once the Benedict gets react with the erythrodextrin, we are getting the red color. So formation of reddish violet color with the iodine and the blue color with the Benedict will confirm us that the erythrodextrin is formed, and this is the second intermediate product which ultimately we are getting. So as the reaction is proceeding, and what our main target is to get the simplest unit from starch or to totally hydrolyze our starch, then the third intermediate product after the erythrodextrin which we obtained in our reaction is the acrodextrin. So acrodextrin is the third intermediate product which we have obtained, and the formation of acrodextrin can be confirmed by taking reacting our product, or by reacting our acrodextrin, we are getting no color with the iodine, and once this particular product is treated with the Benedict, we are getting a red color. So acrodextrin can be confirmed anyhow, that here as the process of hydrolysis is now going to convert, or this particular reaction is now going to convert from polysaccharide, and the reaction is now moving towards the disaccharide. So during this particular process, now we can see here this iodine is giving the no color with the acrodextrin, however we are getting a red color with the Benedict. So this ultimately indicates that our hydrolysis process is now progressing, and it also clears us that polysaccharide which we are getting is going to convert it into the disaccharide molecule for further hydrolysis. So this is the reason why the iodine gives no color here, and we are getting a red color with the Benedict solution. So once the acrodextrin gets further, the reaction is progressed, the acrodextrin is converted into a disaccharide molecule, that is the maltose. So maltose is a disaccharide molecule, and you can see here that maltose, which is a disaccharide, once it gets treated with the iodine, we are getting no color. So no color is produced by the maltose when it's treated with the iodine. However, we are able to get the red color with the Benedict reagent. So this ultimately confirms that our reaction is now progressing, and formation of maltose will ultimately get us confirmed that we are in a process, or we are in a step of disaccharide is formed, and we are getting a no color with the iodine, and we are getting the blue color with the this Benedict solution. And as the reaction progressed further, or as the hydrolysis progressed further and the reduction gets completed, we are getting the final product as a glucose. So once the glucose is formed, again this particular reaction is confirmed by treating the glucose with the iodine, and as the glucose is a monomer for the starch, or as the glucose is the monosaccharide molecule. So once this glucose is treated with iodine, we are getting a no color, that is we are getting no color with the iodine, because the iodine doesn't get reacts with the glucose, as the glucose is the monosaccharide molecule. And further, once the Benedict test is positive with the glucose and we are getting a brick red color, a very dark brick red color. This totally depends upon the overall concentration of the glucose molecule present in the reaction, and we can confirm further that the glucose molecule, once it is formed, we are getting a brick red color, and with the iodine we are getting the no color. So this is the overall process, how ultimately we are able to conclude that our reaction is moving further, and this is how we can confirm that assess our hydrolysis reaction of the starch, and these all are the hydrolytic products which are formed, or the intermediate products which are formed in between the formation of the main product, that is the glucose, from the starch.